Hi everybody, today we're going to be doing some printmaking which is going to go into our fold out sketchbook. We are going to be creating some pages, probably 2 that will go in our sketchbook, alongside gathering quite a lot of experimentation which you all know you are going to be keeping to help cover AO2 for experimentation. These pieces of work here that I've stuck in my example sketchbook have been printed onto some collage that I made already using some of my bits of leftover newspaper and my bits of text from the last task. You could make some collage with ripped up paper, but you will notice that I am using the motif of the circle again, linking back to some of the earlier work that we have done as well within the project. Okay, now this task is for those people who have been able to get some ink and a roller, those people that don't have those, you'll be able to try this out when you're back in school, but this is for those people who have got those materials. Okay, you will not be able to do this probably so easily if you only have your watercolours. So what you're going to be doing is you are going to be working with a piece of the foam board that I sent you in your pack with your second pack of paper. Sometimes there are pieces of foam that are under pizzas in packaging or in the packaging of fruit as well, and you can use that. Now, I've mentioned that I'm going to use the circle motif, and to help me get started to cut out some circles, I've got some cans here. I've got the lid from a deodorant as well, and I'm going to use these to actually press in the shape of the circle, of different shape size circles, into my foam board. So I'm pressing in quite hard, and that actually embosses a really good circle for me to cut out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to roughly cut those out. You can, of course, at the same time do a whole load of them and fill your whole piece of foam board with different size circles. Try out. I do suggest that you try different examples of your printing to start with, different types of pattern, because you're going to find that some you will prefer the end result over others. So I'm just cutting those out. If your circles aren't absolutely perfect, don't worry. I think it's still going to work really well, and I think in this kind of process it's quite difficult to get an absolute perfect circle. So I've cut out some circles here from my foam board, just like that. What I did a little bit earlier was that I have come up with some ideas for different patterns for how I'm going to create my foam board designs. You can use any of those, or you could actually make your own designs as well, but you can look at those on the PowerPoint. So what I'm going to do to make my patterns here is that I am going to just press in my design with pencil. Now, I do suggest that just to start with, take a little scrap piece of the foam and actually practice putting some lines in. Some of you will know that putting lines into foam board, it can go a little bit scratchy or regular. However, if you hold your pencil at a slight angle, particularly if you want to do lines, you will find you get a smoother line. Don't have your pencil too sharp either, because otherwise it makes too thin a line and that doesn't work. So I'm looking at my designs here, and I'm going to do one, because I kind of like this sort of sunlight design. I'm going to start by doing that. So I'm going to start and draw some lines. You notice my pencil is slightly on a curve. I'm going to do this quite quickly, and I'm doing lines, and I'm rotating my foam board to create those coming out like that. I'm also going to do some that have got a sort of wave design on it, and I could do some that have dots, all sorts of different patterns. So I'm going to quickly do a wave design into here. Just doing that in like that. they're slightly irregular. I'm not trying to do anything that's too perfect there. Okay, so I have 2 different foam board circles with my patterns in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my ink and my roller and I'm going to put out some ink. Now I happen to have a piece of plastic at home. However, if you don't have that, you could use a plastic chopping board, any other piece of plastic you might have around your house. You could even try putting a plastic folder. I've just used some masking tape to stick it down onto a flat book there, and you could roll out onto that. Obviously just being careful when you take it off or wiping it with cloth first. But there's different ways around finding places to roll out your ink. Now, what is important with your inking is just to put out a small amount of ink. You don't want too much ink. And I'm only going to take part of that as well onto here. I'm going to roll that in. And I can see that little even covering there. If your roller slides and slips and doesn't move, you've got too much ink, in which case take some off. You can even dab a piece of newspaper onto here to get rid of excess ink as well, and then you can roll again. Now I'm going to take my foam board and I'm going to roll some ink onto it like this. Now I'm going to have a go at this, see how that works, and I'm going to press that onto here. Bit of muscle on there, take that off, and I've got a perfect little print there. Okay, so to repeat print it, I'm going to just roll it up again, maybe think about my design, position it in a different way, and move that along. And I'm going to repeat that. You'll see how it goes fainter and fainter without using ink on it. So I'm going to repeat that across my page to create a pattern of these circles. You can do your line of pattern quite regular, or you could do it quite irregularly. You could even overprint some of them so that you get layering up. But I'm also going to use my other little piece on there as well and make that part of this composition. So I might put that one on there. Now, because your project, you are looking at using a lot of different materials, I recommend that you do have a go at doing a piece, and you may find you get really interesting results by working onto your collage, and you will be using just the same process to create that. I have only got one coloured ink with me, so I'm just going to be using that same colour. I've stuck my bits of paper, I should say, down quite well with Pritt Stick beforehand, but you see how interesting that is when that's printed on there. So I'm going to create a page of those on there. The sheet here shows you a range of different designs that I tried out. So some with dots, some with geometric lines, some with squiggles, a whole range of different circular pattern designs that link through this motif. They could almost be a little bit like looking down a microscope at cells, at viruses, or they could be this idea of the planets. And you can try a whole range of different things to get some really, really good results with that. Okay. Here you can see that I've tried out quite a lot of different styles and designs, and you can enjoy doing those. As I say, look at the sheet for ideas, or you can make your own designs. Okay, enjoy the printing.